Hi, my name is Israa Alsiyat. I'm a PhD student, and I work with Scott, who is with us here today. Hi, Scott. So, my paper is Metaphorical Expression and Automatic Arabic Sentiment Analysis. And I will discuss with you the metaphor as one of the NLP problems. And I will offer you a suggested computational solution to overcome this problem. In addition, through this slide, you will see some questions rather than following the topic exactly as they are in the paper. Well, I did. I followed the same order, but I just slightly change how they are presented. Those questions are just a way to engage you and raise your level of curiosity to think with me. Because I consider presentation, it's not just about giving information or receiving, rather than exchanging the knowledge, also participating, even if that participating involves silently thinking with me. And therefore, I will also appreciate your participation by asking me questions and insightful comments. So without further ado, let's get started. Outlines. Why metaphor? Why metaphor for Arabic language? In this question, I will discuss two parts. Why I choose metaphor briefly, why I choose metaphor rather than any other figure part of a speech, and why I choose metaphor for Arabic language rather than any other language. And also I will mention some related work on metaphor for Arabic language. And the second question, I will discuss how we prove this theory, which is the impact of metaphorical expression on sentiment analyzer. And that included data collection, analysis, suggested solution. Then I will discuss with you the experiment results, which is trends, statistical information. And then I will discuss the suggested solution, which is graphs and some computational application to overcome this problem. So why metaphor for Arabic language? According to Lakoff and Johnson, metaphor is the second commonly used after simile figure part of a speech. In general, metaphor is a quick, short, cut to the point way to communicate and used online to interact. But it has a level of ambiguity, make it hard to be interpreted by computer algorithms. In particular, Arabic metaphor has a profound emotion and a strong opinion need to understand by sentiment analysis algorithms. And metaphor is not only an NLP problem to be understood by automatic model. Also, it's a challenge for human annotation to annotate and identify, which is according to Abdul Majid and Diab. Arabic language has a higher utilization of metaphorical expression than most other languages because it often take advantage of the linguistic devices such as metonymy, simile, and sarcasm. This is to the unique history and culture of the Arabic world. In addition, it's considered one of the Arabic language attractiveness according also to Abdul Majid and Diab. The previous study on Arabic metaphor was on linguistic, basically corpus-based translation, rather than applying a computational work for metaphor. Also, they discuss conceptually what is metaphor and the challenge to understand this figure part of speech. In addition, they have specified metaphor, in their study, the corpus space specifically, they are doing a study to collect a corpus on metaphor proverbs for Arabic language, but was limited because they are specified the metaphors on food domain, and also they use proverbs, which they are have a fixed background or culture. So usually they are have sentiment. I mean fixed sentiment. So how we prove the impact of metaphorical expression on the sentiment? We assess how effectively the current tools can handle the Arabic metaphors in context of automatic sentiment analysis and examine the impact of the metaphors. More specifically, we wanted to identify how the current Arabic sentiment tools perform on the sentences that do have or do not have contain any metaphor, respectively. So we start to collect data from LABRE, which is large-scale Arabic book reviews. And the collection was 40 sentences. 20 of them has metaphor, and the other 20 doesn't. And the LAPR is the largest Arabic sentiment dataset containing 63,000 reviews of Arabic. Of Arabic reviews, yeah. And we choose the sentiment analyzer we choose is called Mazajak, and it's a web-based sentiment analyzer. And it employed deep learning model, which has achieved a state-of-art performance on several Arabic idioms. So we assume that as soon as deep learning, so it's adapt a new words. So we assume at least have 50% of the results would be correct. So I'm gonna just show you the results here. So first one is the prediction with metaphor. So it has, let's start with without metaphor. So it has excellent performance. So it has 70% correct and just 30% incorrect prediction. But when it comes to metaphorical expression or sentences that have metaphorical expression, the prediction was 60% of them wrong, incorrectly predicting, and 40% of them were correct. So it's almost most of them incorrectly predicting. Okay, sorry. So for this purpose, how we did exactly analyze those sentences, we passed the Arabic sentences containing metaphor to the Mazajak tool via its web interface to automatically classify their sentiment orientation. We first start with the sentences that have that doesn't have metaphor, and also we analyze them and see, as you can see here, this is the result of the sentences that have don't have metaphor. And then we use the sentiment analyzer manually to assess also the sentences that have sentences with metaphor. Then we manually also analyze those sentences and the performance of the sentiment analyzer. And this is the results. So in the experiment, as you can see in the figures, the tool have an impressive results on the sentences that does not have any metaphor. And it's correctly classifying sentiment of 70% sentences with only 30% error rate. On the other hand, as it's shown in the figure, when dealing with the sentences that contain metaphors, its performance degraded significantly by 10%, reducing 60% and 40% accuracy and errors rate respectively. In fact, such a result is expected because we understand that the Mazajak tool is not trained any metaphor. Our aim was just to show how neglecting the part of identifying metaphor would affect the sentiments. So we were juggling between evaluating the sentiment analyzer and acknowledging the problem. The suggested solution. The performance of Mazajak tool significantly dropped when the metaphor appeared in the test sentences compared with that one does not have any. The lower precision of 60% compared to the 70% non-metaphorical sentences is a clear indicator that metaphors have significant influence on computing algorithms and model of Arabic sentiment analysis. Furthermore, because the test data were selected from the same large dataset sharing similar textual feature, the differences of tool performance is not simply to the different features of test text. So we suggest this simple model, let's say, while it's actually much complicated. So we suggested that the model would have an Arabic input text, and it have multiple features that can identify if this text has any metaphor. So if it's yes, it's going to find the hidden meaning and classify the sentiment. If it's no, it's going to go directly to classify the sentiment. Then the classification output. And the suggested solution was depend actually on Wilke's theory, which is in his work, he was identifying metaphor by calculating the co-occurrence of certain target word in that lexicon dataset. And was this a target word? I mean, let me give you an example. Would be much clearer. So if we have a sentence that, for example, my car drank gasoline. So he would take the target word, which is drink, the verb, and compare it with other sentences in that dataset. So, and compare the context word of that verb. So if it's have different domain, like drink water and drink gasoline, for car, the subject, it's not compatible. So it should be metaphor. And thank you for your attention.